Hey everybody, welcome to the Rental Rewind after show, Ranting Rewind. I'm your host, Dan Perry, and with me today I have two of our contestants from a previous episode of the show, and we're going to be chatting about their experience and find out how it changed them forever. So first up we have Josh.
Hi.
Great, hold your applause. And Erik.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Excellent, thanks for speaking into the mic, Erik.
Anytime.
So which one of you won?
That would be me.
That was Erik.
That was him.
Erik won. And were you surprised by that, Josh, or do you?
A little bit. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's all I'm gonna
Have
say
you
about
known
that.
him for a while? Have you guys been friends for a while?
Yeah, quite a while.
How did you guys meet?
Through
School?
yes,
No.
yes, well, school, but we also used to work together.
Yeah.
Oh,
that
okay.
as well.
Yeah.
So you like knew each other from high school and then had jobs together or something like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
And so what is it about him that you anticipated that you could probably take him?
I'm not as much of a gamer as he is.
Is that right?
Oh, for sure. For
Oh,
sure.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I probably play quite a bit more than he does.
Yep.
But I mean, I know you do play several games quite a bit.
Yeah,
So-
like I do the horror and Pokemon and that kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember this about you.
Yeah.
Yes.
The horror and the Pokemon. And then Josh, what's your favorite genre?
I mean, I don't really have, I wouldn't say I have a favorite genre. I kind of play everything.
Mhm.
At least I try and play everything
Okay.
to try and just, reach out there and see what's out there.
Okay, so do you look at popular titles first, or are you pushing the envelope? Are you looking at indie games? What do you think?
I'd say a bit of both. Like the ones that like have all the hype about them, I'll definitely look at. Some of them I don't really go to. And then other than that, it's like I'll start with looking at like free games that I can get, and then look at the companies that make them and see what else they make. And
Okay, so you're a cheapskate.
sometimes,
Yep. I haven't used the term cheapskate since 1992, so the fact that just popped in there is crazy.
I prefer the term poor.
Okay, well, don't make me feel bad about it. All right, cool. And what about you, Erik? Why did you get so stuck into horror and then Pokemon? Like, why haven't you branched out?
Well, Pokemon I've been playing since I don't know, forever, almost 30 years.
Just lift your mic up there, Erik. We'll just strap it to your face.
Yeah, just a nice little chin strap. But yeah, I've been playing Pokemon for, did I say almost 30 years? That's
Yeah,
not
I
right.
think that's what you said.
Almost 25 years. And then, so that's just been a staple that I've
Just
always
part of your
enjoyed.
life.
Yeah. And then horror, since a very young age, I've enjoyed, getting scared and doing the spooky stuff. So that's kind of,
Okay, so does that come out of a love of horror movies?
yeah, I would say for sure.
Yeah. So how does it differ then for you, that experience of watching a horror movie versus playing a horror game?
I like the horror games because it kind of puts you in the game. So the immersion kind of adds another layer to that.
Right.
Because it's gotten to a point for me where, like horror movies, they, maybe they'll rarely get me on a jump scare, but like almost never. And then even horror games, they don't really get me the way they used to when I was like a little kid. But I'm chasing the dragon.
You're chasing the dragon, sure.
Trying to get that fear.
I feel like it's kind of like people that like hot wings. So you know how you when we first start out, you're like, whoa, this is real spicy. It's like, it's just got pepper on it. And then suddenly, you start building up because you're actually, I feel like you're killing your taste buds. Is that kind of what's happened for you?
Yeah, and it's funny you use that analogy because I also am a big lover of hot sauces and hot wings. And
So you're just trying to fill whatever dark void is inside there with hot wings and horror.
Yeah, bury it with hot wings and horror.
And then put Pikachu on top.
Absolutely.
And that's you. Okay, cool.
You gotta have a little cute in there.
And believe it or not, he's not single, ladies. It's not that this is a dating show. Though that would be fun too. Maybe that would be for season 3, as we have a dating show for people.
That'd be
There you go.
Yeah. So Josh, let's talk nostalgia. So when you think nostalgia and video games, what comes to mind for you?
Honestly, first thing that comes to mind is just like, 8-bit, 16-bit games.
Mm-hmm.
That whole area, I find a lot of fun. It's like simple mechanics, but good games.
Okay.
Right.
Is there one that pops out for you, a specific title?
I mean, obviously the old Pokemon games, because I'm into Pokemon as well.
Yep.
So a lot of those ones are really nice. I a little bit of a weird jump. I played a lot of Pitfall.
Okay.
when I was younger.
Yeah.
Right.
Was that kind of like Prince of Persia? Like you were running, it was a side scroller.
Yeah, side scroller.
Yeah.
And there was like two layers that you could be on.
Yes.
And you have to like jump over holes, jump onto vines.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And that one, you had that as a kid, or you just remember playing it?
I remember having it for a little while, but yeah, I don't actually know what happened to it.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it.
That happens to a lot of games, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Your parents are like, yeah, this is junk, and they toss stuff out, and you're like, oh, I was going to sell that. I was going to retire.
Right?
On that. Yeah.
I mean, you might as well now. Things are super expensive from back in that day.
Yeah. All right. And what about for you, Eric? What comes to mind in terms of nostalgia?
Definitely Super Mario World.
Okay.
That's first video game I ever played, so it's it's definitely holds a special place in my heart.
So you got a Super Nintendo at some point?
It was my dad's Super Nintendo, and I actually started playing with him when I was a kid, and that's kind of how I got introduced to gaming.
Yeah. I love these conversations about memories that people have, because I think it really it kind of humanizes video game players in a way, because I think sometimes people think like they have a perception of it's men in their 20s and 30s that are sitting in their basement and they've got a headset on and they're yelling at kids and do you know what I mean? Like,
yes.
And I'm not saying that doesn't exist. Like that's true.
Yeah.
But also I think there's just like nice people that want to sit around and play a game. And like my wife and I, like we have a Nintendo Switch and we play and the kids play. And I do think Nintendo has done a really good job of like having their family friendly market. So it works for that aspect of my life, but there's other times where I'm like, oh, I kind of wish I had a PlayStation so I could just, I don't know, hop on and blow some stuff up and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think you need a balance of both. Like when I'm not doing the horror games, another thing I really like to do is I'll play video games with my eldest niece, and we got into the Lego Avengers, and we're playing that a lot
the
together.
Lego games are super fun.
And it's always a good time getting reactions out of her. And now that she's a little bit older, we'll occasionally play the horror games together, and watching her freak out is kind of it's good for me. It's funny. So that's always nice. Hi, Danielle. And
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Is there anyone in your life, Josh, someone younger that you're sharing games with?
Not really yet.
Okay.
I do have a daughter myself.
Yep.
So she's coming up on the age where I can put a controller in her hand, and she's starting to understand that things are happening.
Okay.
But like I bought this little plug and play thing that's kind of learning ABCs, learning numbers, platformer, and she's fine with running left and right. But as soon as she has to get to that jump, she doesn't know what to do.
That's it. Yeah.
So she's starting to get it.
Cool.
Yeah.
You just saying that reminded me of, there used to be, I don't know, maybe you guys, because you're a little younger than me, but there was these little things. They looked like cartridges that you could buy, and they only had one game on it. Like it was just one game. Did you guys have anything like that? And would have like a directional pad on one side and maybe one or two buttons on the other?
Maybe
you look confused, Eric.
I'm trying to think of what you're talking about, but I keep thinking.
I think it was like Tiger made them, like they were.
Yeah, I keep thinking. I think it was also made by Tiger. Was the Video Now, and it would just have a single like TV episode on it, and you'd put it on and be black and white and play it for you.
And what would you put that on?
Just you had a little video now player, and it looked like a Walkman with a screen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So this would have been mid 90s.
Yeah, or early 2000s. It'd be late 90s, early 2000s. Yeah.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, the ones.
Okay, yeah. I had a couple of those.
Thank you for
Those
pulling
are
those up.
those are McDonald's though.
That'd be why I had them.
But yeah,
We
definitely
are not sponsored by McDonald's.
Absolutely not.
That's great.
But yeah, I do remember those. I think a lot of them were like sports games, though, right?
Yes, there was a lot of
Right.
sports games. I
Yeah.
remember Street Fighter 2 was
Oh yeah,
one
yeah.
that my friend had. I never had them. I remember my parents were kind of like, no, we'll get you a Nintendo because then we can monitor it on the TV. But they didn't even want me having a Game Boy or something like that. That
Oh,
was-
Oh, really? eh?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I get it.
The idea of like you can go to your room and play a video game seems so wholesome right now, actually, because of what it would have been. It would be like Tetris or something.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it's that would also be like the fear of the unknown, right?
Oh,
Because
totally.
if you don't know what video games are, that's the people that are like video games are destroying the world, right?
Yes. Yes.
Well, it's funny because then that's when they were all like safe. There was no online connectivity. Whereas
That's
now,
it, right? Like they were
you can
so
do
much
anything.
safer,
Yeah.
so much safer.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had like Nancy Reagan's war on drugs and the idea that we need to like, watch out for what's happening in rap music and all this kind of stuff. And video games were totally part of that. It was like,
Yeah, absolutely.
we're afraid. And first person shooters come along. And I think people kind of feel like, okay, this is now training people to become active shooters,
Yeah.
which is like,
It's funny too because I think I'm not 100% sure, so don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure that I've read studies that it actually reduces the risk of stuff like that if you're playing the video games because it's like an outlet for
don't quote him.
negative emotion.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see how it could be. I suppose for someone who's so broken that they're imagining they're going to go and do something like this. I don't know that a video game is going to make a difference one way or the other, right?
That's a fair point
right?
too. Yeah.
But yes, I hear you. Wow, that took a dark turn. Let's go back to happy times.
That got heavy.
Kirby. He's one tough cream puff. Am I right?
Yeah, right.
All right, cool. So let's talk future then. Future video games. What do you think things are going to be like in, I don't know, let's say 20 years?
20 years?
Yeah, where do you imagine this going?
I imagine in 20 years they will attempt full body VR.
Full body VR. I wear a suit, a full
Yeah.
haptic suit. I'm getting sensations from the visuals.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. I'm not sure if 20 years is enough time to like make it perfect, but I think they could do. I think they do some VR suits now,
Mhm.
but I think that could be a way that they would go.
Okay.
I was actually thinking about this earlier. I'd like to see more AR stuff,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
There was a thing.
Augmented reality.
Yes.
Augmented reality. So I'm looking at the room, but now the whatever visor I'm wearing is placing objects in their digital object.
Yeah, there was something that they did with the 3DS when you bought them, you got these AR cards.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I remember those.
They were a lot of fun.
Yeah, they were great.
And yeah, you'd put them on the table and you'd use the camera and it would pop up like an entire little city or something and you'd play a little game with it.
Cool.
Which was pretty cool.
I don't remember these at all.
Oh, they even had they released a Pokedex. I think it went up to Generation 5 Generation 5, and you could put the Pokemon anywhere with as long as you had the little QR code. Your DS would scan it, and they'd kind of float around and do their little things, so you could take funny pictures. I think I took a picture in the toilet, and I had a Goldeen swimming around in it and stuff like that.
Of course you did.
Yeah.
So do you think this is the kind of thing? Do you agree? Like, is this where you see?
I could
It
definitely
headed?
see that. Another thing I could see is almost like having kind of like with the machines here going online and being able to control like bots that people have built and stuff like that, and kind of have like a real world aspect introduced, but still gaming from your couch,
Yeah. I wonder, just because of the cost and those kinds of things, if it becomes more like a traditional arcade where we go and you could do like, you could go to the go-kart track, you could do like the pitch and putt thing, or you could go and strap on a haptic suit and
Yeah.
I think that would be really cool. I have a feeling that people wouldn't be happy about that because they wouldn't get to personally have it like in their home. Because I mean, a lot of the people nowadays don't want to leave their house, right? So
Can confirm.
yeah. So
you guys don't know what it took to get Eric here.
the idea,
We had to leave a trail of Reese's Pieces.
Ooh, chocolate.
Yeah. That was a reference to E.T. Okay, go on.
I think the idea of having it in your home is just something that people are going to want.
Yeah.
And they're going to either require or like highly request.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Interesting. I think I was at the movies, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. My dad and I went and saw Napoleon, which is an Apple film. Like, it's produced by Apple. And that means that like it's going to be on my Apple TV Plus within a month or something as well, right? But it's there on the big screen so I can go and see it there. And I had this thought of like, oh, I thought there'd be more people here. Like, it's actually, and this was like, you know, a big budget movie directed by Ridley Scott and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, yeah, are people just staying home now? Are people going to stop going to the movies? Are they going to stop going to arcades? Is this the end?
I think in some ways it is dying out, but I also think that, you know, you'll always have the nostalgia for movies. And like, I know a lot of people my age wish that we could still go into like a Blockbuster and rent a movie or a game for a weekend. And, but yeah, that died out, unfortunately.
I don't think that will die out, but it'll become like few and far between. Like
drive-in movies, you don't see them very often anymore, and they're fantastic. Such an experience if you've ever, you know, had the chance to.
Yeah, like you might go into a city and they might have something like that.
But people need to date, right? Like, people need to go on dates, and if the only thing that's available when we're going on dates is Starbucks, or, you know, I'm like give people something fun to do, don't you think? Like,
I agree.
You just got to get creative.
Yeah.
What did you have in mind?
Picnic, you know, go for a nice long walk on the beach.
In our haptic suits, just come to my house and we'll go put on your haptic suit and we'll sit and have a picnic and a walk on the beach. We'll play
How fun would that be?
Okay. I mean, if that's what you're into, man.
I mean, yeah, I agree with you. But
the barcade has kind of taken off a little bit. The idea of, you know, people in their 20s want to go and have some drinks. They want to play some games.
Yeah, I haven't actually been to that place. I'd like to.
The barcade?
Yeah.
Is there one called, like, because there's a place in Calgary, I think, called the barcade.
Yeah,
does Airdrie have?
I don't think Airdrie does.
Not to my knowledge.
Yeah.
No.
Hey, this is an investment opportunity. It's starting right now.
Yeah.
If anybody wants to get in on it, we're going to create something.
Yeah. I know they used to.
Okay.
They used to. There was it was like a little arcade internet cafe called Liquid Matrix.
Okay.
Went there a few times, and you know, you pay the entrance, you jump on a computer, you play a bunch of games with your friends, and yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I lived in China for a year, and I remember going to an arcade kind of like that. And on one side, it was like a pool hall, and then on the other side was just rows and rows of computers and people sitting there just playing games.
Yeah.
And I remember I was teaching at a college, I was teaching English there, and one of my students told me that they were like, yeah, this is actually a huge problem. Like, people are getting addicted and they're playing, and like they're spending money on adult diapers so they don't have to get up.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, That's revolting. That I couldn't think of anything more disgusting than sitting in your own filth just so you don't have to get up from your game.
Yeah, people do it though. It's like it's messed up, but yeah.
Okay.
You know, not to call you guys out, but
speaking from experience.
oh yeah, definitely. No, I'm more of the sit on the toilet and play games.
Oh,
guy.
okay. You like stream it from your phone?
Yeah,
You set your phone up?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
Well, on that note, I think we're gonna say thank you to our guests for joining us. Is there anything you guys want to plug? Are you streaming anywhere?
I'm streaming. You can catch me at a butter pat on Twitch. And yeah, I'm trying to be there most days. I'm in a bit of a switch up on my stream and whatnot, but yeah.
Nice. And are you shower beer?
No, I'm not currently streaming, but maybe in future. As far as plugs though, I'll shout out Game Dad TV and Crooked Cinema. Definitely check them out. That's about it for now.
That's it. Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I'm Dan Perry, and this has been Ranting Rewind.
Yeah, games.